Good morning. Every culture across the globe has its own traditional creation story. Each culture's creation stories increased social cohesion and gave individuals a sense of identity and purpose. Additionally, these stories most likely inspired people, gave them a deep sense of excitement about life, and comforted them during hard times. Across the world, creation stories have elicited similar responses such as a sense of belonging to something greater than ourselves, a feeling that we are not alone, feelings of awe, reverence, and love, connection to a deep mystery that underlies existence, a sense that everyone matters, everyone is important, and peace and comfort, as well as a zest for life. To get a sense of this, let's hear and consider a few creation stories. First, let's hear this creation story about Sky Woman from the Iroquois tradition of the Great Lakes. This version of the story is taken from Braiding Sweetgrass, written by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She fell like a maple seed, pirouetting on an autumn breeze. A column of light streamed from a hole in the sky world, making her path where only darkness had been before. It took her a long time to fall. In fear, or maybe hope, she clutched a bundle tightly in her hand. Hurling downward, she saw only dark water below. But in that emptiness, there were many eyes gazing up at the sun shaft of light. They saw there a small object, a mere dust mote in the beam. As it grew closer, they could see that it was a woman, arms outstretched, long black hair billowing behind as she spiraled toward them. The geese nodded at one another and rose together from the water in a wave of goose music. She felt the beat of their wings as they flew beneath to break her fall. The geese could not hold the woman above the water for much longer, so they called to a council to decide what to do. A great turtle floated in their midst and offered his back for her to rest upon. The others understood what she needed for her home and discussed how they might serve her need. The deep divers among them had heard of mud at the bottom of the water and agreed to find some. Loons dove first, but the distance was too far. One by one, the other animals offered to help, but the depth, the darkness, and the pressure were too great for even the strongest of swimmers. Soon, only little Muskrat was left, the weakest diver of all. Before long, a stream of bubbles rose with the small, limp body of the muskrat. He had given his life to aid this helpless human. But then the others noticed that his paw was tightly clenched, and when they opened it, there was a small handful of mud. Turtle said, "Here, put it on my back and I will hold it." Sky Woman bent and spread the mud with her hands across the shell of the turtle. The land grew and grew as she danced her thanks from the dab of mud on Turtle's back until the whole earth was made, not by Sky Woman alone, but from the alchemy of the animal's gifts, coupled with her deep gratitude. Together they formed what we know today as Turtle Island, our home. Like any good guest, Sky Woman had not come empty-handed. The bundle was still clenched in her hand. Then she toppled from the hole in the sky world she had reached out to grab onto the tree of life that grew there. Wild grasses, flowers, trees, and medicines spread everywhere. And now that the animals too had plenty to eat, many came to live with her on Turtle Island. The story of Sky Woman is incredibly rich. From this story, the people of the Iroquois and the Great Lakes understand the responsibility that flows between humans and the earth, as well as the interconnectedness of all beings. Sky Woman, Turtle, and all the animals created a garden for the well-being of all. In another creation story from the book of Genesis in the Bible, there was a woman in a garden that contained the tree of knowledge. I grew up with this story. It is the story of Adam and Eve. Maybe you grew up with it too. Because Eve tasted the fruit of the tree, she was banished from the garden. She was made to wander in the wilderness, earning her bread from the sweat of her brow and enduring great pain in her labors. In order to eat, she was told to subdue the wilderness. Eve was subservient to Adam and maligned for her curiosity, all for not following commands handed down from on high. Same species, same earth, different stories. The Sky Woman's story describes how everyone is important and how all the animals communicated with each other to help Sky Woman. Instead of hierarchy, the Sky Woman creation story describes interdependence and respect for all living creatures. What if we grew up with this model for human behavior rather than the hierarchical supremacist one about Adam and Eve in the garden? In the creation story of Sky Woman, interdependence is clearly depicted. The animals decide what to do to help Sky Woman. She doesn't tell them what to do or assert her dominance. It's fascinating that Sky Woman leads us to a generous embrace of the living world. She is an ancestral gardener, a co-creator of a nourishing green earth. One of the things I love about the Sky Woman story is how creation begins with a beam of light and how our little planet fits into this great universe of Skyworld. This creation story has implications for how we view each other. In our competitive culture, we don't often think of each other as equals. Instead, everyone is in some place in a social hierarchy. However, as our scientific models of creation are being rewritten, even by us, right now, in this moment, we are forming new pathways of understanding. We come from the stars, and we evolve through the water and the mud. I'll continue with another creation story. This one has perspectives from science, as shared in the book Journeys and Awakenings, Wisdom for Spiritual Travelers. Science is the study of our world through observation and experiment. Many scientific breakthroughs confirm the wisdom of traditional creation stories. As Unitarian Universalists, we are familiar with the scientific perspective that the universe is a web of relationships. Everything derives its identity from the past and from its relationship with other things. We are dependent on everything that came before us, and our existence in the present depends every day upon the sun and earth, the universe as a whole, and a web of interdependent relationships. You probably know the relationship between plants and animals. One cannot survive without the other because of the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, as well as plants feed animals and animals pollinate plants. Everything in the universe is interdependent. The universe creates diversity and depends on it for survival. Scientific evidence and spiritual experience can be woven together. As humans, we can live our lives in rhythm with the universe by valuing the need for diversity. that each has a special capacity that contributes to the whole. This scientific evidence can mirror to us the spiritual experiences of understanding, cooperation, social cohesion, purpose, and a sense that all life matters.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
I'd like to emphasize some parts from our story for all ages, We the Curious Ones, with you now. The author took us from early mythology to modern-day science. There's an understanding that this is a long journey, and so much of our galaxy still remains a mystery. I quote, "We chant in temples, in sweat lodges, in churches, in shrines, celebrating our lives, honoring our dead. We love our stories. We live our stories. Always, though, there are those among us, curious and courageous too, who dare challenge even the stories we love, the stories we live by. What if our world is round, not flat?" The author shares in an afterword that some of the earliest people to recognize that we live on a round earth were Aboriginal Australians. They came to this understanding by studying the stars, and they passed their knowledge down in stories that survive in their ongoing culture today. What if Earth is but one of many planets revolving around our shining sun? The author states that several early scientists with this idea were put to death or convicted of heresy. This occurred because the Roman Catholic Church was at that time the predominant keeper of stories in the Western world, and the church did not want its hallowed stories questioned. And now the curious ones say to us, "We are made of dust, but it is the dust of stars, and most of the universe is dark, but there is no nothingness, only mystery, fascinating mystery." We, here in this congregation today, are the curious ones. So what will we challenge tomorrow?
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Another creation story can be found in the book My Grandfather's Blessings by Rachel Naomi Remen. Here is how Remen tells the story. In the 16th century, the great Kabbalistic rabbi Isaac Luria offered a profoundly beautiful cosmology of the world, a sort of mystical version of the Big Bang Theory. In the beginning, there is the Ein Sof, pure being without manifestation, the infinite, absolute source of the world. The world as we know it begins with the Or Ein Sof, an emanation of light from the source. Rabbi Luria explains the fragmented nature of this world by postulating an accident of cosmic proportions. The vessel holding the Ein Sof shattered and broke open, and the light of God was scattered throughout the universe into an infinite number of holy sparks. These countless sparks of holiness are deep in everyone and everything. Like many other mystical cosmologies, the creation myth is based on an idea of service. The purpose of human life is to uncover these sparks of light and restore the world to its original wholeness. Everyone and everything we encounter is a shell or container for a hidden spark of holiness. It is up to us to help free the hidden holiness in everything and everyone. We restore the holiness of the world through our loving kindness and compassion. Everyone participates. It is a collective task. All those ever born have shared this collective work since the beginning of time. This myth suggests that the human race is a single karas dedicated to this holy purpose.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
It feels fitting to end my sharing this morning with a prayer written by the retired UU minister, Rebecca A. Edmiston Lang. Spirit within all, mysterious force giving shape to life, miraculous source and river of being, help us to know who we are, to see our place in the history of earth and in the family of things. Help us to see that we are part of all that ever was. Our grandmother's prayers and our grandfather's dreamings, our mother's courage and our father's hope. In our bones lies the calcium of antediluvian creatures. In our veins courses the water of seas. We are part of all that ever was, born of this earth, riders upon a cosmic ocean. We are not separate from nature. We are nature, part of that same spirit that turns scales into feathers and birdsong into speech. We live by the sun. We move by the stars. We eat from the earth. We drink from the rain. O Great Spirit, help us know who we are and fill us with such love for this holy creation and gratitude for this awesome gift we call living, that we might claim our inheritance and live out our calling to bless the world and each other with our care. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.